handover of remains could prompt North Korea to ask for concessions from the United States. But it could also breathe new life into a peace process that has stalled since the two leaders met at their Singapore summit. Laura Bicker, BBC News, Osan Air Base, South Korea.
Well, joining me now is Bruce Klingner, Senior Fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Bruce, thanks very much for joining me. North Korea has sent back remains before, so is this a big deal?
Well, it's a big deal in that any day America gets some of its fallen warriors back is a good day. America puts great priority on trying to bring our fallen American servicemen and women home for a belated homecoming with the bereaved families. There have been remains repatriated in the past up until 2005, when then Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld canceled these missions to go into country to get the remains back because of concern about the safety of American teams in North Korea.
Does it, however, bring us any closer to the issue of denuclearization?
No, it doesn't. It's a confidence building measure, but as Secretary of Defense Mattis said today, it's unrelated to the negotiation. So, it's a welcome development, just as the closing of the entrances to the nuclear test site and the dismantlement of an engine test site is welcome. But they're really unrelated to achieving actual denuclearization, as North Korea is not only promised, but is required to do under numerous UN resolutions.
So why are we not hearing much about that?
Because North Korea has made quite clear that they have a very different definition of what denuclearization is from the U.S. The U.S. sees it as unilateral disarmament by North Korea, as they're required to do under the UN resolutions. North Korea has made it very clear over the years that they see it as global arms control, and as a member of the nuclear club, they will go down to zero when other members, such as the United States, goes down to zero.
Now, Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, has said he won't let these negotiations drag on. What should happen next, and more to the point, when?
Well, he had a mission to North Korea to try to put meat on the bones of the Singapore communique, and he claimed progress, but afterwards North Korea quite strongly criticized it and very categorically rejected virtually all of the U.S. objectives. So, they have said they will not do CVID, that the U.S. must first prove it doesn't have a hostile policy towards Pyongyang, so they want to put the benefits before any kind of denuclearization.
So what then is a realistic timetable?
Well, both Secretary Pompeo and President Trump have now said they've fallen back off the position that this has to be, very expeditious denuclearization. They've now said there's no time limit, there's no rush. So I think they've now come to realize that these could be lengthy negotiations. So then it's up to the Trump administration to decide if they feel like there is a chance for success, or whether North Korea is playing its usual tactics and dragging this out, trying to get benefits. The longer they drag it out, probably the less international support there will be for sanctions.
So what do they hope to gain in return for repatriating these remains?
Well, what North Korea has done with this, the nuclear test site closure and the dismantlement of the engine test and now the return of the remains, they said, we've done what we need to do, you now need to reciprocate. So they're pushing back on any kind of denuclearization steps, instead of saying now the U.S. has to do things such as sanctions removal or signing a peace treaty to end the Korean War or a guarantee of regime security. They now say it's up to the U.S. to do some kind of reciprocal gesture.
Bruce Klingner, thanks very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you.
Quick look at some of the day's other news now, and a group of political parties in Pakistan say they have rejected the results of Wednesday